And turn this down so we don't get a big thing. Okay, says I'm live, so hopefully we are. All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Wine Wednesday. I hope that your tanks are great, your seahorses are lovely, healthy, happy, and that you are having a better day than Holly's had and a better week than I've had. How's that sound? But happy Wine Wednesday. Sipping on some Pinot Noir. Um, my acronym. I love it. Seems like we're freezing up a little bit. Let me know if we're freezing in the comment section. But let's get started. Just to let you guys know, today is going to be open chat again, and I do have personally a few updates, and I think Cheryl, we want to hear from Cheryl and Holly their updates. But bottom line being, I have been crazy busy trying to get this new tank set up going on before Holly's seahorses arrive, and just some stuff at home, it's just been crazy couple of weeks. So I promise we are going to get back to guests and topics. I absolutely tell you by next week there will be a topic or a guest. But tonight it's just whatever you want to ask yet again, and updates from everybody, and just a chance for us all to get together, which is the purpose anyway. So, and nothing wrong with it. Just letting you know we're gonna get caught up. But yeah, it feels like we're freezing a little bit. And my computer's sure moving slow. I restarted it right before we started, guys. Sorry if we are. But welcome to Holly and Cheryl. Miss Cheryl, are you with me or are you frozen? I think she's frozen. Okay, if you guys are frozen, try to possibly leave and come back. I know my computer's freezing up itself, so I'm gonna try to see comments. Guys, are we freezing up on your end? Let me know. Nothing wrong?
Yeah, mine says I'm having trouble with internet access.
Okay. I wonder why that's happening to
You
all
are
of us.
too? I don't
I'm
know.
looking at my version, and Amy, thank you for being kind. Yes, open chat's always fun. I just like when we have something to talk about. But mine has resolved itself, so now I am moving at I'm looking at my lips moving at the same time as I'm talking. And Amy said it's
Yeah, I can hear you now.
okay. She said that it's Cheryl and Holly that are frozen. I think I'm gonna message Cheryl and tell her to jump out and come back. Maybe it's just when I started it, it kind of took a chunk of internet or something. But let me see if I can reach Cheryl. She's probably sitting there trying to talk to us, and we're all like not hearing her. Try leaving the Zoom and coming back. But yeah, Amy, what's up with you? How are you doing? And Holly, since you're kind of unfrozen, anything new with you? And she's frozen again, isn't she? Oh no. Okay, well, open chat with me. How fun. I always do so well. Okay, well, while I'm hoping that they leave and come back or that we get this resolved, I'm just going to chat, guys. And if you're in the comment section and
Ellie, I can hear you okay.
but are you able to talk?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, so go ahead and speak. You're just a little frozen on the picture, but it's okay. You look beautiful.
Okay, I can hear you now. I couldn't for a little while, but it seems to be working now.
Okay, sorry guys, I'm not sure what's up. But it must be the Zoom. I wonder if I need to check my Zoom settings maybe. I bet you that's it. Because I think it's Zoom that's wanking out. But anyways, Miss Holly, since you can hear me, anything new with you or your seahorses?
Not really. I've got the ones that I'm ready to send you. I've got them down to 2 meals a day. You're able to tell pretty much. I've got enough where I can.
No. What did they say last time that you can't have a wine Wednesday without technical difficulties? Grrr. Hi, Seahorse Corner. We're having some Zoom issues tonight for some reason. I'm half tempted to restart the Zoom. I don't know. I'm half tempted because I don't know why it's messing them up. Okay, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna chat, and if they come back, then we'll chat with them. Otherwise, if you guys have any comments or questions, just about anything Seahorse related, feel free to ask them because at least I'm here and unfrozen. And Amy says, "Oh well, here. See, my computer's even going slow. I don't.
Sweet little.
Oh, Holly, did you come back? I don't know, guys. I think it's the Zoom. But Amy King says, all is well here. Introduced the gray angel in late last week and did a quick water change today. Awesome. The gray angel. I haven't been as active on social media as I like. So I'm going to have to go check your social media once we're done here. But very cool. Very cool. All right. Hopefully Holly and Cheryl aren't trying to talk. And Ray actually messaged me right before we started and let me know that he was unable to join us this week, so I knew he wouldn't be here. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to call Zoom and holler at him for giving me such troubles. But okay, so my week, very hectic as per usual. All my weeks are, but I'm really getting excited for the Seahorse tank. And as you guys know, I've been doing Seahorse tanks for a long time, but I realized that when you've had your Seahorse tanks running for quite some time, years, you kind of get used to the flow and the rhythm. And when it comes to setting up a brand new Seahorse tank, I'm like sitting there second guessing myself about everything. So let me know if any of you guys have experienced that because I am just like calling Dan and being like, "Do I have this right? Am I supposed to do it like this? How come I'm so worried about this all of a sudden?" I don't know. But I did a post and I'm working on a video showing that I'm pre-cycling all the media because the other problem that I'm having is that I made a decision after talking with a bunch of people last week and the week before, that I am going to try the all-in-one because all of my Seahorse tanks, well, most of my Seahorse tanks have all been sumped. So, I've walked through in videos in my very long Seahorse tank setup video, all the equipment and yada yada. And I did a scrubber on one tank, but people want simple. And I figured out that in this all-in-one, I can still add my like mini reactor with the K1 media, and I can still add a skimmer. But we'll see. We've had conversations before about whether or not hang-on skimmers are good enough. But I found one also that will actually fit in the all-in-one. So bottom line is, I figured since we're doing this for testing purposes anyways, and for Kelly to refresh all of her knowledge, might as well try something different. So my other problem that I'm having occur is that the tanks. Everywhere that I've looked, what I was trying to find is the all-in-one, like an all-in-one 40 gallon. I figured that would like give me the 30 gallons of water plus the 10 for the back because apparently all-in-ones are all like when they say 40 gallons, it's everything. It's telling me my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, Ethernet.
And my Zoom just ended.
You should have to.
Okay.
You should be connected directly.
Well, something's not right. Okay. I wonder if I could even do this, guys. I'm going to try to join back the Zoom again. Hang on. Nope. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do here.
You have a direct connection.
Because, well, all right. I'm going to sit here and look stupid for a second and try to get the Zoom back because I wanted to give them a chance to share. I think we're going to have to stop using Zoom, to be honest. Anyways, as I'm doing this, I can talk too, right? Two things at once, that always goes well. So anyways, I've got the skimmer and I'm doing unboxing videos and all that stuff. I've got the reactor. I've got the media cycling, K1 and rock and like the spheres from Brightwell or Marine Depot or wherever they're from. And I already had those. But the skimmer, and I've got all these equipment coming in and I'm trying to figure out UV if I can somehow hook that up. But bottom line is, everywhere I've looked for the tank that I want, nobody has it in stock. And it's saying like months. And I just wondered if anybody else has experienced that because, I mean, obviously I've got plenty of tanks here, but I wanted to do the all-in-one. I wanted to test it. So I'm bummed out. I'm irritated. And yeah. All right. So let me try to get back into this Zoom. Try it again. See if it works. Maybe they'll still be sitting there. What do you think? Oh my. Fun times. Joy, joy. Okay. Gotta just try, right? All right. I'm probably just gonna end it soon because I can't even get it to work at all. Okay, now I'm back in the Zoom. It kicked me out of the Zoom. Okay. All right, wait. Now let's see if
I grow out tanks all insulated now, so that should help.
Hey guys, let me
Yeah.
see if we're back. Are we back? I joined.
There you. Yeah, we finished the meeting. Sorry. We've been talking while you were gone.
And I've been sitting here talking to myself, and all the people looking at me like we don't care. No. Okay.
And I have no clue what you said.
I was just talking about Holly. I'll tell you real quick, and then I want to hear what you guys were saying.
Okay.
What I was saying is I found out I decided to do an all-in-one mainly because I've got the other tanks with sumps that I could put them in if I have any
Yeah.
trouble. I wanted to
Me
test
too.
it. I've got a skimmer that fits. I've got a reactor that fits that can tumble the K1 media. But
Nice.
the tank, and every place I've looked for to order this tank doesn't have them in. They keep saying back order, end of May.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm not doing
So
this.
you picked out your tank and now you can't find it.
Right,
Don't
exactly.
you love that?
So I really wanted to do either the Innovative Marine or the water box all in one, and like above 40 gallons, so that because apparently with all in ones, when they say 40 gallons, that's water volume total. It's not like a 40-gallon with
It includes, yeah, what's
Right.
going through the filtration sump part of it or whatever that is.
right.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, anyways, yeah, I can't find the tank, but I am doing one other cool thing, guys. I've got 2 things of K1 and 2 things of rock going, and I think it was Salty Reef, who came on last week or the week before, told me that he really loves Aqua Vitro seed. And so I've always used Dr. Tim's. So I've got media in 4 buckets, and I'm doing like, obviously I'm not a scientist, and I don't have like I can't even think of the word. I don't have a base or whatever to compare to, but I'm adding the same amounts. I'm doing the ammonia the same just to see which cycles first, which works best. So a little testing there, but yeah, I've got the media ready, everything but the tank, and I'm like, worst case scenario, we'll just quarantine. I don't think I have to quarantine your seahorses, but
Yeah.
I could always do that.
As long as you got somewhere you can put them, but
Right.
if not, I can put it off another week for you.
Well,
They're good.
I know, but I don't.
they have
I'm
to stay
excited.
where they're at.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
so they're ready to come.
Well, what I decided is, it's important to support local stores too, anyways. We always kind of say be leery of ordering, seahorses from stores unless you can tell they're taking care of them well. But as far as equipment and stuff, it just costs more. So of course I'm cheap. I was trying to get it online, but I'm visiting all these. I went to 2 today. I'm going to go to 2 tomorrow. I'm trying to find and just buy this tank. So hopefully we'll let you know. But
Cool.
and what I
See,
was asking you, Holly, go ahead, Cheryl.
I support our local reefers. If somebody advertises a tank that they're upgrading to a bigger tank, if it's something I want, I grab it.
And where do you look, Cheryl? Just in your reef group?
Well, we have a local reef club
Right.
that I'm really involved with. And so usually people advertise it either on our Facebook webpage or on our actual website.
That
Like I picked up a 65-gallon rimless, reef ready with a stand for $175.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Sheesh, that's awesome. Well, I'm announcing now, anybody who watches this, if you're in Indiana, near Anderson, go ahead and message me, because if you have an all-in-one for sale, and if it comes down to it and I can't do the all-in-one because I just can't get the darn tank, I would also be interested in doing another sump system. But if I do, I want to buy the tank already drilled. I don't trust myself drilling. I've in most of my sumped tanks, I had to use an overflow box, and I just don't like them. I want to do a clean look this time, whether it be all in
Mm.
one or sumped with, nicely, not stuff coming out everywhere, like Holly's beautiful tank.
Like me.
Yes, but yeah. So that's my frustration right now, and Cheryl, that's actually excellent advice. I'm part of the Indianapolis Reef Club, and I didn't even. I'm not active enough, and I didn't even think to look there, but I will because I am a
You
member.
can
So
check like
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace and stuff too. I
yeah,
find used aquarium stuff on there.
I'm always
Well,
leery that it's gonna like leak or something though.
Well, the only way to know, really, I mean, you have to kind of go find out, look at it in person. But I mean, that's one reason why I like the acrylics.
Uh,
Because if it's all in one piece, it's pretty much going to be okay.
yeah.
But
Well, the
yeah, with the
thing,
glass tanks, it could have a leak. It might need sealing or something, and you don't know it. You can't see it.
right.
So I hear you.
yeah. Well, the thing is with our reef club is we all know each other,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
nobody's going to sell a leaker unless they specifically say it's a
I was
leak.
telling you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not real
And
super worried about the Reef Club people because I do know most of them. I meant like Facebook, not knowing somebody,
Yeah,
but
like when
yeah,
you're just looking at stuff for sale.
yeah. But anyways, yeah. What do you guys in the comment section? Have you bought used tanks? Does that work out well for you? I did. I guess I just really want to do like the whole really cool unboxing video and putting it together video. So I'm being lame. I guess I could do the cleaning out the new tank for setup video, right? Guess I could do that, but Miss Cheryl, not veering off subject here, but I wanted to know how are your seahorses doing, the new guys?
I was just telling Holly, one of the males, I have some old Walt Smith artificial corals that are green octopus corals.
Hmm.
And a couple days ago, he decided to hitch one of those, and danged if he didn't start turning green.
Oh my gosh.
I've
Is
never seen that before.
do you have a picture? Is it online?
I didn't. He took off before I could go grab my camera.
Yeah,
But
Right.
that's
I'm looking
why.
at him going, first I thought something was wrong with him, and then all of a sudden it dawns on me. He's trying to match this silly coral.
Hilarious. Well, sounds like they're really colorful if they could change that drastically.
Well, and I took four of them over to a friend of mine
Hmm.
who I've known for years. He's an experienced seahorse keeper. And they'd been in his tank maybe a half hour, and all of a sudden the little female starts swimming across the front of the tank. I said, Mark, Mark, look. And he goes, wow, because she turned a bright day glow orange.
Mm.
And he's like, I've never seen a seahorse quite that color.
Well, for anybody who didn't watch us last week or the week before, Cheryl's new seahorses are from Ocean Rider, and she has had a very good experience with them. They had shipping troubles. The seahorses were still healthy and great when they came 7 days later. And those are the seahorses we're talking about, coloring up like crazy. So just giving
Well,
kudos where it's due. They're obviously doing a good
Angela
job.
Gibbons got into the same problem. Her shipment was delayed. They finally arrived Monday, and they basically did the same thing mine did. They came out of the bag. They were hungry. They were ready to eat. They colored up right away. Uh,
Awesome.
they're not shy. They don't hide.
That's
So
wonderful.
we've both been really impressed.
Well, and you two giving a thumbs up is huge because, not that you guys are picky, but you just know what you're doing, and so you get seahorses, you're going to know if their behavior's off. Yeah.
Well, the thing is with Angela and I, we've both been at it long enough. When we're bringing in a new shipment, we've got Fritz Turbo Start 900 in stock. We have new bottle. We've got at least enough to do 3 hospital 10-gallon hospital tanks in salt mix. We've got enough top off water. We plan, as she put it, we plan for the worst and hope for the best.
That's the one that I
And
need. I need to add that to my little testing here. I've got the seed, the Dr. Tim's. I need to get the Turbo Start. You're right. Geesh. And they were great. I've worked with them before, and I know that it works. So I need to do that. Thanks for reminding me, Cheryl.
hey, one of my no-brainer moments setting up a tank I'd run out of ammonia because I always have pure ammonia cycle. Went and bought a new bottle, wasn't paying attention, dumped in the same amount, checked it the next morning. I was at 20 parts per million on ammonia.
Oh my gosh.
And I added the
Oop.
Fritz Turbo Start, and it cleared it up in about 3 days.
Wow. That is wow. And for the record, for anybody who is new and wants to set up and cycle the proper way, the old-fashioned way, you don't have to use bacteria, right? It'll work. It just takes
Oh, yeah.
longer.
Yeah. It just speeds up the cycle.
Yeah. Um,
And I keep it on hand anytime I'm having any new seahorses come in. I call it cheap insurance
mhm.
because I know I have it there if I start to get anything going on with the tank.
Yep. That and Prime. Prime is my baby too. But and Cheryl, you know more about the science of this. I can remember a few years ago when bottled bacteria, everybody thought it was snake oil. And most of it was because it was usually, they would confuse the species of bacteria. Some was for, eating organic, some was for sludge, some was for this. But the nitrifying, I know they work, but how do they bottle bacteria? Do you have any idea? Like, how is it able to stay alive?
It's kind of like bottling copepods and sending them through the mail. You've got to get a live culture. You've got to be very careful and to have the temperature right. It's like when I get Fritz Turbo Start, it comes in packaged in ice
Ah,
because it's got to stay cold or you're going to kill off the bacteria until you can get them into a tank. And it depends. Some of the others like Biospira and Dr. Tim's, those are not typically refrigerated. And quite frankly, I've experimented with them. They don't have the same efficacy.
ah. Yeah, I mean, and you might be right. That's why I'm doing all this. Actually, Aqua Vitro Seed is out on the shelf too. So who knows?
Yeah,
Or
the
maybe
thing
it's
is,
just the store I went to. But
yeah,
yeah, I do think it's good that Turbo Start is refrigerated. That makes a lot of sense to me.
it depends. Fritz, when they send it out, I mean, years ago, I used to be able to buy directly from Fritz
Hmm.
before they started putting stuff out in stores. And I could order it, it would be here the next day, packaged, uh, temperature packaged.
Nice.
And yeah, I definitely, and I've tried some of the others, they just don't work as well.
Well, I'm gonna say I do think Dr. Tim has some secret, super secret way of doing it because the Dr. Tim's has always worked for me, but I've heard many people who've said it doesn't. And what'll be interesting for me to see is if maybe Fritz works better. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe it does more quicker, you know, whatever. So
Yeah.
test it
The
out.
Fritz 9, which is a much lower density of nitrifying bacteria, works more like Dr. Tim's and some of those.
Okay.
The 900, it kicks the tank.
Okay. So which one are you saying is the best?
The 900,
Okay. Turbo
it's,
Start 900. Got it. I'm writing it
it's
down.
also definitely more expensive.
And I feel like a heel, just to let you all know, Jessica, who was with the company a few years ago at Macna, she walked me through all this. This just shows you guys how bad I am at memory. This is what I was saying. I haven't had to start a tank in so long that now I'm like, ooh, gee, do I do it this way? I can't even remember. Like we talk about it constantly, but when it's like and I'm doing it with my own hands, I start second guessing myself or forget the names and blah blah blah. It's stupid. I should be like
Oh,
Cheryl and cycle tanks more often, right? Maybe I will. But
but one thing is too that I do is I tend to keep cycled filter media on
right.
hand in a separate tank, which really helps me out and helps me jumpstart stuff.
When I had the fry tubs and when I was really knee deep in seahorses, like literally a tank in every room except for the kitchen, in the bathroom, but every other
I had them
room.
there too.
Oh geez, see, I can't. Sean, no way. Tanks in the kitchen, would not work. He'd leave. But anyways, I did have K1 cycling constantly. In fact, when I came back to, or when I came back, when I decided to do this tank, I went over there and it was still like cycling, but the pump had lost efficiency. So I just, when I talked with Dan, he was like, you know what, let's just be safe, bleach and restart. So I did. But you're absolutely right. Having cycled media sitting on hand is really great, and it helped me so many times. It had been over a year since I'd even looked at it or added ammonia or anything, because you have to keep feeding it. And plus, like, the rim was kind of dirty looking. I don't know. I just restarted, but I get your point. Great point. Now, do most people do that though? Because, like, Holly, do you keep cycled media?
I do, but I was just going to ask that because about that because I haven't done the fry tubs yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of looking at some tubs today and thinking about the sump and all that. And the question came up, what do you do when you're in between batches and not raising fry to keep that sump cycled? Do you like add ammonia to it and just shut off the fry tubs themselves and just keep the sump going? I mean, how do you keep that ready for next time?
Usually what I'll do is I'll break down a nursery tub after it's gone through a brood of fry, and I'll thoroughly clean the tub itself. I don't, assuming that I'm working with the same pairs, I'm not going to break down the sump and everything. And then I just set them back up, salt water, add a little bit of ammonia, and just basically monitor it. And when I know I have a male that's coming along, then I go in and start popping in the ammonia cycling.
Gotcha. So you just add a little ammonia to it along the way to make sure you keep the bacteria growing and stuff in it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And then when I'm expecting some, I add a little more ammonia and start testing at least once a day, sometimes twice a day.
I think that's
Gotcha.
what
So
Dan.
do you bring
Sorry.
it to like 1 part per million, like Dan says, just like when you're starting a new tank, or how do you figure out how much to put in?
It's called, I'm used to dumping.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is there a formula to figure it out? Or...
That's how I got to 20 parts per million on that one
20
system.
parts per million, y'all. Well, no, I did the same thing, Cheryl. The first bucket, I set it up before I got any of the 3 bacterias, because anything that I would have had sitting here would have been too old. I mean, they were all, it's been a year and probably, it's probably been 3 years since I set up a new tank. Nah, maybe 1.5. Anyways, so any bacteria I had here would be too old. So when I had to go out and get the new, I totally forgot where I was going with this. Oh, so when I set up the K1, I bleached it just as Dan had. Again, guys, it just sat for so long. Just to be safe, I decided to bleach. And the rock, I cleaned it. I really wanted to cure it, as Salty Reef was saying, but I'm impatient. I'm not waiting 3 months. I have a bunch of rocks sitting in a tub that I'm going to begin curing for future use, since I plan to set up more tanks. But this time I just cleaned it really good, and it came from a Seahorse tank that I know was okay, and it was dried. Anyways, back to my point. I said, I'm not even going to wait on the bacteria. I'm going to start. And I dumped, as Cheryl just described, the ammonia without testing. And I couldn't even tell you. I mean, like, it was off the chart. And I had to start over. I mean,
Actually,
but
what you need to do is add a small amount of ammonia, test it, see where you're at.
Yeah. I follow Dan's advice every 20 minutes. Let it sit and then test the ammonia. And then
do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Well, in my grow out tank, I have it filled with sponge filters. So those are cycled and ready for if I need to do like a 10-gallon little fry tub. So that's easy enough. But when I go to the actual fry tubs, and not my little tanks, if I have a big batch of fry, I was wondering, how I keep that sump going, because I'm not going to want to set it up and take it down, every single time. I'm going to want to keep the sump going and just throw on the fry tubs when it's time to go, is what I'm thinking.
Well, the thing with the fry tubs is I keep them running all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the same pair that's producing again, as long as you're not getting into a situation where you're feeding it with frozen myces or stuff like that, where you're going to get a lot of detritus. You
Mhm.
shouldn't have to worry too much about like ciliates or flatworms,
Yeah.
hydroids, that kind of stuff. The biggest problem I have with the sponge filters is most of them come on a base, and it looks
Yeah.
kind of like a ceramic base. If
Mhm.
it sits in the tank for very long, if you check the bottom,
Mhm.
it's rusting out.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting. I haven't looked, they look like plastic to
Yeah,
me. I'm
but
thinking they're plastic, but underneath it's just like a coating maybe over metal, you think?
that's exactly what I found when I.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
why
I'll
I
have
quit
to look
using the
into.
sponge filters because I
Mhm.
did not want rust in my tank.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Okay,
have to
that's not
check
bad.
mine
Well,
and
and I
see. I
just
haven't
wanted,
noticed that, but
sorry, I just wanted to add that when Dan has been on, I'm not even, he has a lot going on too, guys, so maybe he'll jump in, but if not, I do know that he said before, much more eloquently than I'm about to, but he does kind of like what Cheryl did, and he breaks down a system between each batch, but he has so many different batches and so many different pairs, so he's on a commercial level, and what he does is what I was doing is he literally had a bucket of, his was K1, but any kind of media that you keep cycled constantly. And the way I think I remember him describing it is what Cheryl said. Just, you cycle it to begin with. And
yeah.
then
And
like
then
a couple
keep
times a
feeding
week
it
you
more.
add it, once you've figured out how much ammonia it takes you to get to, his is 1 ppm, I'm over cautious and I go to 2 ppm, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere between there. Once you figure out how much ammonia to add, he adds that, you know, I'm sorry, he doesn't add that much. He just adds ammonia, sometimes less than that throughout the weeks, and then right before he gets ready to use the media, he adds that amount that takes him up to 2 ppm and just makes sure that it converts it completely through within 24
Mhm.
hours. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, then you got to go through it again, kind of get it ramped up, so you're probably not adding enough ammonia as it sits. But as far as having the sump sitting there, Cheryl, is there any, like, how long does it take? Well, I guess the bacteria converts it, so it's gone. Right, that makes sense. I'm just thinking to myself here. Um, yeah, I guess she answered it completely about how to keep the tank online. Hey, I
One
got a
thing,
go ahead.
one thing with the K1 media that you'll find, depending on the test kit you use,
Mm.
when you first start to cycle it, you get some really bizarre, unintelligible readings on test kits with it.
Well, maybe that's why I got off the chart ammonia. But go ahead.
Oh,
Which ones do you
I mean,
use?
like API, if you're testing for nitrites,
mhm.
it will typically turn yellow.
Huh.
Wild. And is that
Yeah,
what you use as
see, that,
API?
that, that doesn't
That's
exist.
weird. Well, that's not even a choice.
Mm-mm.
No, that's not an
It's not-
option. And once it's cycled, it tests fine. But when you first start setting it up, you can get some really weird readings with it. Just an FYI.
And I mean, I've heard so many times not to trust API test kits, but I'm curious, do you use them? Hey,
I
Harkins.
use, I have API, I use Salifert, and several others because basically, if I get a weird reading on one,
Hmm.
I'm going to pull out another one.
The,
But
the, the, go ahead.
the K1 messes with all of them.
Sure. And I was going to say, the way I usually do it is I usually use I use Salifert for some things and Red Sea for others, just because of the ease of use, because some of them get really complicated. But with Seahorses, you only have to test a few things, and unless you're adding coral or macro, of course. But yeah, I really think this time I'm just gonna, because all my test kits are old and all they had at the store that I went to today was the API kit. So I bought it and I'm gonna use it. And I just figure I've ordered online the test kits that I usually use from Red Sea and Salifert to get new ones. And I figure I'm gonna use the API for cycling, but then before I actually put the seahorses in the tank, use the better kits is my plan, I think.
Well,
And I use API. I've never really had a problem with API.
Good, nice.
And yes, what I'll do is that if something's looking kind of high to me, I'll take a sample of water to the local fish store.
Ah,
And most of the tests, he has more complicated equipment and
sure.
stuff. So, you know,
Yeah, like I'm
he'll
not
do
going all Triton here. I'm not gonna pay
Well,
and
Triton
so
to test
far they've
it.
done it for free. But if I went like they have a small fee, like $1 or $2 or something for certain tests that
Mhm.
are, more expensive.
Sure.
But that's how I do it, and I really haven't had a problem.
Well, and I was
well,
gonna say, hey, I wanna back up because I just said I'm not gonna pay to have Triton test my tank. I'll tell you, I did get a Triton test way back when on the reef, and it was fascinating to find out the levels of certain things in my tank that you just don't even think about.
yeah.
So I'm definitely not knocking it. It's awesome. It's just costly.
Well, and like CChem makes a test that technically will not be impacted if you're using Prime or Safe or one of those, because it's not measuring ammonium, it's just measuring directly ammonia.
Uh,
Problem with it is the little lines on it are so close together,
mm.
and it's such minute differences, it's virtually impossible to read.
It's like
Mhm.
pregnant or not pregnant, the old tests. You couldn't tell. Anyways, okay, that was probably a bad example.
Holly, one thing too on those sponge filters that I resorted to is I literally, when I get them, before I've ever used them, I covered the bottoms with like Gorilla Glue, the gel
Uh-huh.
that people use for frags,
Yeah, yeah.
and you can cover them, and then you won't have that problem.
Oh, interesting.
Hey,
Yeah.
I wanted to say really quick, Harkins Aquatics. Been waiting for your response. For once, it's not me dropping the ball. But no, I was gonna say you missed the. Oh, and you use API. Cool. You missed the tank talk that I was talking about while my ladies were frozen at the beginning of this video. But basically, if you have any friends, frenemies, anything like that, not frenemies, but any friends or any leads, I decided I really do want to do the all-in-one just to test it out. But I cannot find the tank. Like everywhere, I found the tank that I want. I was in between three different companies, but I found the like 40 gallon or 45, 40, and like around that to where it's at least 30 gallons, plus the part. I don't know what you call it, the filtration part. But bottom line is they're out of stock everywhere I've looked, like everywhere. Ended up online, I mean, and I ended up visiting stores today because I was just going to buy one outright because everywhere online seems to be out of stock. So yeah, I need some. If you know anybody with one for sale, or if you have an in with a company, I need you, bro. And I'm ready for the macros right after I get the tank and the corks. But anyways, yeah, okay. I just had to say that since he's here. Jump in if you feel
You're
like it.
bound to determine you're going to find that tank.
I am. Well, because to do another sump tank, I don't know. I will if it comes down to it. I wanted to try something different. See if it works so
Hey,
I can
it
give
could
good
be
advice.
worse. In my neck of the woods, when the reapers all get together, they're talking about, I need 6 guys to move a 510-gallon tank.
Right. Of course.
Or another one of my friends had multiple dollies. He brought in 1,000-gallon tank.
Mm.
And that's when you start using the glass, the big suction cups you use to move glass.
Oh yeah.
And then you're paranoid the whole time that one of them is going to fail.
Hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah. I. That's the other thing is that we're planning to move within the next year, and I currently like the SCA tank. I don't even know how we're gonna move it. It took like three guys just to lift that sucker onto the stand. It's 90 gallon. The glass is ridiculous thick. It is so heavy. I don't know how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be a pain, and I just have so many tanks. That's what I told Sean. I was like, maybe I should try to trade one of the ones that's not running, or something. But, anyways, yeah, I got off topic. I know. What were we talking about before? Oh, I know we're jumping around, guys. Hey, it's Wine Wednesday. whatever. Either one of you that when you're cycling media or a tank and you're using the ammonia method, at what point do you add the bacteria? Do you do it right after you, or like in the beginning when you add the ammonia, or what's your method, Cheryl?
I usually do it within 24 hours after I add the ammonia,
Okay.
because what you're wanting to do is give it the bacteria a supply of ammonia
Mm-hmm.
to to proliferate. Always remember though, when you're doing this and you're adding bacteria, you need to turn off your skimmer. You need to turn off a UV.
Mm-hmm.
You need to remove carbon and some of that stuff in it if you have that in it, because all of those will negatively impact the bacteria.
Mm. Gotcha.
So,
Makes
like,
sense. Absolutely.
in other words, read the directions because
Yes.
that
Yes.
was just,
Right. And Miss Amy commented she has API and Hannah. Oh yes, the Hannah test kits. I'm really curious about those. I might even get one to try because you know it seems so much easier and so much better. But I've also heard like are they difficult? Like, do you have to calibrate them or how does
Is
that
that
even
the
work?
one, the digital? It's like a little digital thing.
Yeah, I mean it seems so
That's what
easy.
my fish store guy uses.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so I bring stuff to him that I want to double check. And yeah, it'll say like something point this or something point that,
mhm.
so
are you talking about the little round
the green
ammonia
box,
sensors?
Well,
no.
they're little they're odd, they're like egg shaped kind of, not really,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
you take off the cap and it's like pronged and you stick it in and it literally will, it's like it digitally tells you your
Yeah.
whatever, your calcium, your pH, your whatnot, your ammonia. Do they have them, Amy? Do they have the Hannah kits for every test? I'm curious. I've seen them for like phosphate, for pH, all that. And they look amazing. And maybe that's another thing I'm gonna have to try and do a video on.
One is the one I saw at my local fish store. And then I looked them up online and they're like $50
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
expensive,
Like,
but
not this time.
right, right. But it'd still be cool to test them out and just like test them against other test
Yeah.
kits, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
something I've always noticed when I would do that and use like API, Red Sea, Salifert, whatever. I would get different readings, especially when it came like on my reef tank, especially when it came to things like calcium and
Mhm.
phosphates and such. But I don't think I ever did an extensive testing with like ammonia. But I'm just
I
curious.
noticed, like on mine, see it what I took it for, I think, is the phosphate. And it's because the phosphate colors with API, it's kind of hard to tell what
Yeah.
your range is. It's hard to read it. So what ended up was when I took it to him, it was really close to what I got with the API.
Oh,
It it was just more precise.
gotcha. Well,
Because the
hey.
API was more of a range. It's roughly this, whereas
Yeah.
this is like, oh, it's this point, this.
Right.
You
So
don't want to know how I use API test kits. Ammonia, 130 tests. That's if you add up to the white line on the test tube.
you were saying that.
I put in half as much and only use 5 drops on each.
Yeah,
Cheryl, don't
yeah.
be telling people how to cheat. Come on now. I'm just kidding.
I'm cheating.
Hey, I want to say hi to Chris Carey. Mwah. Hope you're
Hi,
well.
Chris.
You got to join us in here sometime when you have the chance. And I need to catch up with you anyways. And backing up a bit, Miss Amy said suction cups are worth every penny. They bought like 4 or 6, I don't know, one or the other. And she has the huge tank with the, oh my gosh, I cannot think of the name. Oh my gosh, Amy, what's your exotic cool fish? I cannot remember its name. Oh, Wine Wednesday. Wine Wednesday. I suck. Anyways, she has really a really cool tank, and it's I'm assuming really big. So yeah, Amy, tell us what you got in the comments, because I'm forgetful. Sorry, I even watched your whole presentation on it. Well. And the Seahorse Corner says my 120 the guy delivered on an organ dolly. Oh my gosh, he moves church organs for a living. Worked great. That's really smart. I love it. And okay, Harkins said they don't have Hannah test kits for all of it. Do they have ammonia? Is really the main thing I'm curious. And Amy said people complain about the amount of steps some of them take and how long they might take to work, but I don't have a problem with them. I usually start a cup of coffee and set everything up. Oh, so the Hannah test kits require work, like, or do you mean like just calibrating them or setting them up initially? Because the imaging I got or the thought process I got is that once they're set up, they're simple. You click or whatever. Tell me about it. And Amy, by the way, guys, has a I'm gonna butcher it. Tessellata Murray. I probably butchered it, but a Murray. That's what I meant to say. And Chris is busy with school holidays. No worries, and moving house. I was just talking about I'll be moving house soon. So, well, good luck. Hope it's going well, and just catch up with us when you can. I did reach out to Rochelle. I know I'm like talking to you in the middle of a live stream. Sorry, but just letting you know, just in case you whatever, about women in reefing. And guys, just to let you know, the Krista video and the Sea Dragon walkthrough video are both so close to done. I promise. Make sure you subscribe to the Women in Reefing channel on YouTube too. I'll make sure you have a link in the comments and on the pages that we're running because the future videos are going to be cool. We have Instagram's Reefer Punk coming, I think, next week. So it's not just going to be Seahorse, Sea Dragon people and all that. It's going to be people from every area, every woman in every area of science and the hobby and all that. It's really going to be neat once we get it going. So we're getting close. Okay, I'm done with my promos here. What else, guys? What else do we want to chit chat about? Did I cut anybody off about bacteria or cycling or anything? Did you have any other questions, Holly?
Nope.
Okay. Trying to think. Anything else we need to share? Is anything new with you? I think I asked you and you froze. You were telling me about my guys.
Oh, yeah. I said I'm starting to be able to tell the girls and the boys. So I said I'll be able to pick out a nice little pair for you. And they're down to 2 feedings a day now. They're not as interested in eating all day long as they once were. Like I used to feed them. I've been feeding them like in the morning, like at 7:30 a.m. right in there, and then I feed them at 3 p.m. and then I used to give them a 6 o'clock evening feeding, and I quit that feeding a couple days ago because they're not as interested in that one anymore. Lights go out at 7, so they're all they're
They know.
already up for the night. And
Well,
I think it's 6 o'clock here right now, and nobody's really looking at me like they're starving. So I think they're good now with the 2 or 3 times a day, however many times you like to feed.
I usually do 3 anyways, but I'll see how they do. But no, it's funny as you were saying that. What time is it there right now?
It's 6 o'clock here.
Okay, phew. Because I was gonna say they're not gonna get any 7 a.m. feedings from me. But luckily, your 7 is like my 10 or my 9. Excuse me, 10. So it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, they'll be all messed up time wise when
Sure.
they get there anyway after all the traveling. So I'm sure they'll figure it out.
And that's the other put together video I've been working on is Holly's setup. Because she did an excellent job with the setup and she did a bunch of videos and pictures for me so that I could put something together showing her setup. But since it's not in front of me, Holly, I'm curious, and it doesn't matter. Lighting doesn't really matter to seahorses, but I'm curious what lighting is over their tank.
I have a shop light, fluorescent shop light that's
Right.
strung from the ceiling, which I don't leave on all day now that it's not winter, because the room that they're in it's windows, like you can see all around me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all windows and 2 skylights right over the tank.
Wow.
So the light comes on automatically in the morning at 7. It switches on. I feed them and let them eat. Then the sun's coming up, like it gets into the room right around 8:39, and then I shut off that light. and automatically I have a black light that belonged to a friend of mine that's over the tank, and that comes on automatically at 7 when power to the other one shuts off.
Nice.
So I only turn it on if it's a cloudy day,
Hmm.
and I turn it on for feeding time. But other than that, they have enough daylight to roam the tank and do their thing most of the time. If it's a dark day, I turn on the light for them.
Yep. And I'm curious because the 65-gallon tank, everybody said, don't put it there. But you know, when you know the arrangement of your house, like it's confusing. But I have this big fireplace like directly in front of me. You guys can't see it obviously, but in front of me there's
Yeah.
this big fireplace, and then there's these open spaces on the side. So the TV and all that crap's on one side, and I put the fish tank on the other. But of course, there's two windows there behind.
Yeah.
And everybody said, don't put it near a window. Don't put it near a window. Don't do it. And I did. And the shade, the curtains that I got are sheer. So, anyways, I've had to really battle nuisance algae in that tank. That's the one I have a scrubber on, so it's manageable. But do you have trouble with the open room setting?
I have, no, I think I have more trouble because it was winter up until the last week or so. So it was cloudy. So I had the fluorescent light on all the time, all
Uh,
day. So yeah, I have been getting a lot of algae, but the way I have the tank set up, it's completely bare with just movable plastic stuff. So it's really easy for me. That's part of my once a week thing. I get out the magic eraser and wipe all the algae off all the surfaces. But yeah, it does grow. And I'm hoping now that I don't have the fluorescent light on all day anymore.
mhm.
Because the light in the room, it's not bright. So I don't think it's going to cause an algae problem. It probably, your window is probably the same thing. If it's in the sun, when it's the sun comes right in your window, you might have an algae problem. But
Yep.
if it's not, if it's just ambient light, then it probably won't be an issue, I don't think.
Well, yeah, no. In my case, it's getting in too
Is
much.
it bright sunny window? Yeah, see,
Yeah.
my house is not like that. My windows, see, behind me are
Mm-hmm.
on the north side of the house.
Ah,
So if it was east or west, and there's lots of trees here, so I'm not getting bright sun in my house. It's just the light of outside.
gotcha. Lucky you. Anyways, um,
Except
okay.
for when it comes to gardening, I have no sun. I can't grow tomatoes or anything.
Right.
I pretty much use ambient lighting throughout the day, and I have some tanks. You guys know what reef breeder photons are?
Yes,
The light.
because I've been looking at tanks. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And lights
Yeah, I
and
mean, they'll grow acros. I've got some reef breeder photons, but what I do is I use ambient light. When I get ready to feed, turn on just the blues,
mm,
and you can see all the seahorses going, oh, time to go over here.
mhm.
And then what I do is I then bring up on the have give them lighting on all the settings or on all the colors, but at the lowest settings.
Mm,
And what that says, food's coming in,
Yeah.
and you can watch them as they figure the system out. It's basically what you're doing, Holly. Also,
mhm.
same principle, but it works really well because then all the seahorses get used to the lighting coming up when they're being fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a trigger. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very smart. Okay. Well, aside from me still trying to find the dang tank, I'm extremely excited to get Holly Seahorses here and give
Are
you
you
guys some
trying to get a DS?
updates.
Are you trying to get a DSA 65?
Which DSA? What is that?
I mean, your new tank that you're trying to find.
The two that I was, oh, like, are you looking? Oh, I don't know the numbers. The one I was, okay, I can tell you. Hang on. The one that I wanted, maybe I can tell you. Okay, the one I did find, okay, the three that I was looking at, and I know that some brands are better than others. My friend was letting me know, whoops, The like water box is the best. So, but I can't find those anywhere. The all-in-one water box that's big enough.
They're back ordered.
Yes. And then I did find like a JBJ 45 gallon rimless flat panel aquarium, and that's an all-in-one. And then I found the one I really wanted was the Innovative Marine, only because I can't remember. Oh, hang on, Chris is trying to come in. Let me let him in. Sorry, Chris. Here comes Chris. And I just don't know brands very well, but I think that they're good. And let's see if I can find it now. I've got it all searched on my computer, but I don't want to mess with that while we're live. All in one. Okay, let's see.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
You what?
So I'm well behind with the conversation that I was trying to have about the Hannah checkers.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. No, yeah, so you can get Hannah checkers in most things, but not all things.
Okay.
But you can get them in calcium, alkalinity. You can't get it in magnesium, I'm pretty sure. You can get it in ammonia. You can get it in copper. You can get it in couple. Oh, they just released a nitrate one, and then they have high range phosphate and low range phosphate. So,
Oh, nice.
Like me, if I have a low range phosphate and it doesn't work for me because my
Right.
phosphate's too high.
Is the low range mainly for like freshwater?
No, the low range is for
Oh no,
like,
phosphate. I'm thinking pH. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Their pH is just a pen.
Wow.
So you don't have to like physically dunk like drop chemicals in it. It just instantly reads it.
But so I think I misunderstood the whole thing because they make it look simple, like all the Hannah checkers. You like stick it in water, click a button, and it's done. But you have to use chemicals and all that just the same.
Well, yeah, but mainly most of them are dry chemicals.
Oh.
A few are wet chemicals. Like alkalinity is measured with a dry chemical, and you just put it in there and you shake it for 2 minutes, and then you drop it. You drop one in that is just your regular water, then you add the chemical to it, then you shake it until it's dissolved, and then you put it in there, and then like 20 seconds later you have a very accurate number.
Right. I mean, I understand the importance of accuracy, and that's probably the best. I get it. But yeah.
Plus, like, post the initial cost of the checker, they can be calibrated. It's just a vial you buy. And since they're colorimeter, I believe is the proper terminology. They're very easy to calibrate.
Okay.
But like over the lifespan, the tests are cheaper.
Gotcha.
But
well, and Amy said there is an ammonia checker for Hannah. It's low range though and yellow. Basically, they do have to be calibrated correctly, and they all have regions that are needed, and it's really their new nitrate checker that takes a bit longer. It has extra parts. That's what you were saying, I believe.
That and their calcium checker is it's very good, but it's a multi-step process, and you have to follow it very accurately to get it to work right. But like it will tell you down to like very low levels with accuracy, like it doesn't tell you like between 420 and 500. No, it tells you it's 428.
Right.
Like,
which is I mean that is freaking cool, and like for the reef I could see that. I just for a Seahorse tank I don't know, that just seems a little much. Ammonia maybe if they get a really accurate ammonia test.
I mean, especially if you're breeding. I mean,
right.
And you need to keep testing over and over and over and over again.
Absolutely. So, thank you for educating us on all that. So I found, just to kind of jumping around, guys, but this is the thing that I found on Marine Depot, and I need you guys to tell me if these brands are any good, right? Because I've always done just tanks and drilled them myself, or overflow boxed them, or whatever. And Chris, as I mentioned earlier, I do want to try the all-in-one. I just want to try it so I can say yay or nay to everybody who asks me for all the years to come, because they always ask. They want to use an all-in-one. So I found
So
Nuvo Fusion 40 Pro AIO bundle at Marine Depot,
JBJ.
and it looks amazing. And
So
it's only
Nuvo is
500
an
bucks.
innovative marine.
Hmm?
Nuvo is an innovative marine.
Right.
Okay.
Out of stock.
With yeah, I mean, so you have to realize, I mean, right now we're in the middle of
Don't say
like
COVID, I'll
100
scream. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
there's 100 boats waiting to be unloaded at the
Mm.
port of Los Angeles, and it's the primary entry point for tanks into the United States.
Nice.
So,
Or not nice. I mean, I
um,
get it.
yeah. So, like, I mean, Red Sea had been out of stock of tanks for like 4 months, and then all of a sudden, all the orders got fulfilled.
Wait, they have them now?
instantaneously.
Because I looked and it still said out of stock.
Well, they may have. The thing is, they may have already backed up. This was like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
When,
So they might already be
when
out.
we got the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's good for our hobby, not so good for me. So my question, the one type that I did find that seems to be available, we'll see, is JBJ. Are they any good, or what's your opinion on that?
So I mean,
Or do you want to tell me later?
no, JBJ's fine. Like it's a good tank. Like we have a JBJ 6 and I have a JBJ 32 cube. Like it just kind of depends on what the whole which setup you're gonna go with.
Okay.
Like my bigger concern when you're looking at stuff like that is like how much room is there
Mhm.
for a skimmer? Because like I know that's something you probably want to run, right?
Well, and
So,
those two I Googled, and oh, I could tell you the name of the skimmer if I could find it quickly, but there's one that actually fits in both of those.
The Ice Cap K1 maybe?
Yes, I think so, that's it.
Or
Probably. It might,
Also, Kelly,
oh.
Kelly, when you're looking at a seahorse tank, if you're going to be bringing in young seahorses to
Mhm.
populate the tank,
Mhm.
carefully take a look at the teeth on the overflow, because some of them are very wide and you're going to have to modify it
Oh, sure.
depending on what tank you get.
Sure. And I've had to deal with
Oh.
that the whole time, because most of my tanks, like I said, they weren't drilled, so I had to use overflow boxes. So I get what you're saying. And what would be, I know what I've used in the past, but Cheryl, what do you recommend to help with teeth on overflow or whatnot? How do you recommend to deal with that?
If the teeth are too broad, you've got one of several options. One, you can use some window screen and some cable ties
Hmm.
and just basically, you can even build a little frame that'll slip over that and then do it. You can use sponges, but the problem is the sponges are going to get clogged up and you're risking a potential overflow,
Right.
which you don't
well,
want.
see, but that's the difference in an all-in-one. It will just go over the top of the sponge. So typically, you're not going to have as big of an issue. It's just going to be noise, typically.
Oh, right.
And none of the ones I'm sending you are that small. They're all like 5 inches now, 5, 6. They're about adult size by now. But you could do
So-
like I did on my grow out tank. Remember that slot? I
Yep.
covered it with dog door window screen, which is more heavy duty and bigger holes than
Mhm.
regular window screen, and we hot glued it. So it technically it can be removed and you can put something else if it doesn't work. But
You
it's
can-
been working really well for me. The one thing I have to remember to do each day is take a toothbrush
Clean it.
and go along it, because it's finer So stuff can get stuck there like algae or, a big piece of shrimp or whatever won't
Sure.
go through the little hole.
The other
The-
thing I use a lot is the plastic needlepoint mesh.
I have that a ton of it from when I had
Yeah.
Fry.
It's real easy to attach to an overflow box.
Gotcha.
And the thing that I like about it is it's really easy to take down when you're done,
Yeah.
when they're big enough.
Good point. And Chris, you were trying to say something. Sorry.
I can just 3D print you a holder for either that needlepoint material so you can take it out and clean it real easy,
Yeah.
or a sponge.
Yay! I'm already gonna get with you on the gorgs and other stuff. So yeah, let's get 3D
So
printing.
here, I don't know if you can see the screen, but see how thick it is compared to like normal window screen?
Yeah.
The holes are big, and it's more flexible too.
I've used that one. Like, I'm not overly fond of the look of the clear,
Mm.
the clear like mesh top. I use that particular mesh top, Holly, like
Nice,
pretty frequently.
nice.
Yeah, I really like it. We found it just at the hardware store. They have a booth, where they make like custom window screen and stuff. And we just explained to him what we were going to use it for. And he said, well, we have this stuff. He says it's actually designed for dog doors. But because it's for dogs, for their paws and stuff, it's heavier duty material than regular window screen, and the holes are bigger, so more stuff will get through it, but not the seahorses.
It's for those that
Yeah.
want mosquitoes in their house.
Yeah.
I don't live where there's mosquitoes, so I'm okay.
Lucky you.
Right?
Oh, I'm just now seeing, Chris, that you did respond to me. I cannot find the name of that dang skimmer. But anyways, I've already here's my deal. And I'm gonna let you. Chris, did Chris just sleep? No, he didn't. And if you want to show us something, I'll
No, I
hush.
started my video.
Okay, if you want to show us something, I'll hush because you were trying last week and we cut off too soon. But I just want to say here, my requirements are over 30 gallons if it's going to be a sump system. But I want to do something that if I'm going to do a sump system, I want to buy the whole kit and caboodle, and I'm not willing to pay $2,000. So probably not going to happen. If I found one that from someone I trusted, that's good. Or the all-in-ones, I just would love your advice on which brand or whatever. Are there acrylic ones? And what are you showing us while I shut up?
That's just the frags in the gourd garden.
Oh, wait. Hang on, I'm trying to make you big. Go slow, because I'm trying to make you big. Why can't I make you big? I gotta get rid of Holly. I made her big. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh man, I can't wait. Okay.
So this is the mother colony.
Mm.
So, and it's just blowing in the breeze.
Be still my heart. I have that huge gorgonian in my reef that Lorenzo sent me, but it has hydroids all over it, so I just don't. It's staying in the reef, so I need all new ones for this tank.
Well, we could fix the hydrate. Come on.
I know, but no, I
Right
mean
there.
the
That
whole base.
That right there would fix your hydroid.
What's that?
Get a rat.
Yeah.
Get a rat. That'll have to fix your hydroid.
Well,
I
not in a
have-
seahorse tank. Would
Well,
you?
yeah,
Would
that's
you?
what I'm saying. You gotta pull it out.
I know.
Put it in another.
I know what you're saying. I'm teasing. But go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Want some branching GSP? It
I
grows
can
in-
kill GSP.
That's impressive.
I'm talented.
Actually, the branching stuff is actually pretty easy to kill, but it's pretty finicky. But yeah, that's the reef right now.
Beautiful.
Plenty of. Yeah, I've been kind of keyed in. It doesn't look good in Indo for wild stuff, so I took the opportunity at my last coral show to buy a bunch of trackies and stuff like that. That's just not going to be available probably soon.
So smart. Is
So
there any
far,
news on that at all?
huh?
Any news
I
on
don't.
that?
No, you know,
Yeah,
it's God only knows kind of territory.
sure.
The the moment we find out will be the moment the last shipment comes.
Right. I know.
So
Scary. Very scary.
that's the only scary part is we'll probably get like a 2-day warning.
Well, that's why I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix the view here. But that's why I'm saying. There we go. That's why I'm saying that's so smart of you to stock up.
Yeah, if we get a 2-day warning, I mean, first off, that last couple of shipments is going to be extremely expensive
Mhm.
because if we legitimately go to only maricultured like LPS mainly,
Yep.
like that's the biggest concern. You're never going to see a trachea like that ever again. You might find one like 4 inches,
Right.
but you're never going to find a scolemia that's not from Australia. Um, so
It's scary. I mean, and I mean, as a channel, we promote the crap out of captive breeding. Seahorses, you got to buy captive bred, but with coral, and the
there
thing
are
is,
just
once there's a ban or you can't get them, period, then the people who are able to captive breed or mariculture or culture them, um, they can't get them either.
yeah, no, that's the
So,
biggest concern is like I actually I didn't tell you I was in Cleveland,
oh,
um, and that's where I was. So I was like, hey, I'm on East Coast time. Um, so I was with Stan at Tidal Gardens,
oh,
and he's like he really wants to do like an LPS um spawning area, right? But if we can't get the LPS anymore, like there's no reason to try and spawn it. So, it will be very hard in that kind of situation. And that's why I was like, well, I'll have to snatch some stuff up, you know. So we'll see.
yes. Well, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I'm glad you snatched this stuff up. Amy, apparently I mispronounced. Go figure, because I don't do that ever. But uh, reagents, is that the proper pronunciation? Maybe you better just jump in and tell
Yeah.
us, eh? But yeah, no, and I'm not at all putting down Hannah checkers. I think they're cool as heck. Um, my only point was for a seahorse tank, it's just not that important to get that precise. When you're dealing with coral, different thing. And
I
Seahorse Corner said, Cheryl, I killed GSP2 and Xenia. Hey, Michael, sup? We are winos, or at least I am. Go ahead, Chris.
I would say for you probably only ammonia is important
Right.
on that scale. Um, but that even that might be overstated. Like obviously Cheryl has found some ways to cut the quantity of liquid she needs to use. So
Right.
like she's doubled her test kit. So like that completely does change the cost ratio. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not that, to be honest, ammonia test kits are very expensive to begin with.
Right. So, now that we've talked about all the important stuff, back to me. Which tank and where do I find it? Help me find the tank.
So how big is the Nova?
uh, I think it's Nuvo. Is it Nova? Am I probably wrong?
Nuvo?
I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah,
Nuvo.
Nuvo or NUVO. The NUVO Fusion was 40 from Innovative
Okay.
Marine. I'm
Yeah.
looking for an all-in-one tank. I'll just broadcast to anybody watching. I'm looking for an all-in-one tank. I don't care at this point. Do they make acrylic all-in-one tanks?
Yes. Like
Okay.
remember that's the clear one typically.
Okay. I don't care if it's acrylic or glass. I want an all-in-one tank that provides enough room for a skimmer, and for a media reactor, which I have found, which I've already purchased, that fit in all-in-one tanks. So I'm interested in a tank that is over 40 gallons total. So it has to be like 40 or more. I'm not going to press it, but I could. But for testing purposes and to help others, I want to show the right way to do it. So we need 30 gallons at least, as like the tank part. So 40-gallon
Yeah.
plus. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so like you're kind of eliminating stuff like a bio cube.
Right.
32 is like the total volume.
Biocubes
Uh,
run so hot though.
Yeah.
They're
if
Do you,
you
okay, wait,
take
wait,
a
wait,
lid
wait.
off-
I have to interrupt real quick and just tell you the pet store I went to, and we were talking earlier for the record about supporting our local fish stores, and I do, and I spent extra for certain things today just because just to support them. But then the guy came up to me and told me that he wanted to charge me $20 for a piece of macro that big, and this is the same store that I won't mention that used to buy my macros for much less, I might add. And they've caught on that that it's popular. Now they're charging out the butt. And he tried. I said I asked them about a 40-gallon all-in-one system that was sitting there, but it had a lizard in it, and it was dirty, and they didn't have any like stock. It was that tank, buy it or leave it. And not a problem. I could have cleaned it, but it was an odd shape. It was like custom. It was really long and thin, which I didn't care for. And he said, "You don't need that. Here, come here. Just do this BioCube," which was like under 20 gallons. And I was like,
Yeah, it's
"Oh,
probably a 16.
no."
A BioCube 16 is 14 gallons front facing. Now, now Cheryl, like they're much better nowadays with the LEDs than they are with the obviously the.
Kelly, I'm curious as to why you're not wanting to run a tank with a sump.
Well, okay, to be honest,
Try it.
I wanted to buy brand name because every tank that I have has been do it yourself. I've done it myself. I've, just bought a tank, used an overflow box with the SCA. The SCA 90 is a name brand beautiful aquarium, but I'm not looking at resetting up the 90 for two seahorses, right? So it doesn't make sense. I wouldn't mind doing another sumped tank, but I would want it to be drilled and beautiful. All of my tanks have,
Right.
hoses going everywhere, and they're just not pretty. I want to do something really pretty and nice and test out the brand, right? So,
I'm just
frankly,
thinking that you could buy a reef-ready tank with the overflow already drilled. If you buy it brand new, it's going to come with the plumbing, and then all you would need to do is add a sump, a skimmer, reactors, that kind of stuff.
truth. But everyone I looked at was like $2,000, and I'm cheap, guys. I'm sorry. I usually set up a tank for for next to nothing.
Was all together, and I just added the sump, but yeah, it has the box built in and all that.
And it was
Yeah.
$2,000.
Oh no, mine was left to me by a friend passed
Right.
away, and he was using it for a freshwater tank, and it was left to me, so he didn't have the sump. He had a little like 5-gallon sump for it because he was doing fresh water. So I had to add all that. But no, it's a nice like 60-gallon acrylic tank. And yeah, it had the built-in overflow box and the plumbing all done, like Cheryl was saying. And yeah, that's nice. And I didn't mind, adding a sump to it. Although the sump, it came with a stand, right? With a cupboard style.
Yeah.
And the sump too big to fit in it. So
Yep.
the sump is on the side of the tank, not underneath it.
Yep. And see, when I do that, I don't have a husband who's great with plumbing, so mine ends up looking like trash, right? It works, but it's not pretty.
No, I can see why you want an all-in-one. That does sound really cool.
Well, so okay, so let's just cut the convo like me rambling, and I'll just say number one, I'm too cheap to spend $2,000 on this extensive system that's only 40 gallons with sump. I have all these tanks sitting around, so I couldn't explain it to the significant other. If I could find from someone I trusted a used system. Like most people don't put a huge sump on a 30, 40 gallon tank, right? Unless you're doing it yourself.
Yeah, unless you need a large biological load or something.
Right. So I mean most
And
of the tanks with sumps are like 65. I don't have the room, y'all. I all the tanks that I have are
so
still like set up. So I have limited space.
how
I'm cheap and I just thought that all in one would be a good test because people
But aren't
ask about them
they
all the
pretty
time.
expensive too? Because I'm kind of looking at them while you're talking about them.
Hmm.
And I just saw one and it was like only like 20 something gallons, but it was 800 bucks.
Right.
Whoa.
so
Go ahead, Chris.
so like if you're actually interested in something like what I would call like semi-custom acrylic, right?
Okay.
So like um you can look at someone like Advanced Acrylic.
Okay.
So Advanced Acrylics is they've done probably 20 plus of my tanks.
Okay.
Um so like they have what I just don't know kind of like we haven't had that full sit down conversation about
Right.
like do you want a rimless tank? Do you want a rimmed tank? Do you want single overflow, double overflow? Um
Dual
because
overflows.
yeah, so they make a dual overflow 40-gallon rimless tank.
Okay.
That's that's like their base model, nothing super fancy, but you could even go as far as to tell them like, "Hey, I want like if you go and you get a quote from them, you can say like, I don't want the teeth to be larger than this size."
Ooh, nice.
So like you're gonna pay a little bit more for that,
Right.
but like a 40-gallon, like so that's full water volume. A
Right.
40-gallon rimless is about $6.95 shipped,
Which is fine.
like
That's acceptable.
to your door.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they ship it via pallet, so it's like it's not like in a cardboard box kind of thing. It's normally on a pallet.
Yep.
This sounds great
Um,
so far. Here's the question that will nix it in the bud, which is unfortunate, but turnaround time.
so this is in their semi. This is like if you just bought it out of what is like their
Made.
stock levels,
Right.
what is it in stock now?
Oh,
Now, if you need something more custom, then that's like get a quote kind of thing. And then
sure.
you can ask, like, hey, what's your turnaround right now? Like, one of the reasons I've liked advanced acrylics is because typically my turnaround time for like 2 weeks.
Oh, nice. That's not
Um,
too bad. I could deal with that. I could quarantine or whatever. Or I could,
Kelly,
yeah.
you could also build sumps really easy.
I
Like
know, but
24
that's what
gallon.
I've always done.
Yeah.
sorry, I think she's just trying to do something new. I
Yeah.
think that's your kind of like
Ready to go.
goal.
I
So
want to do
and
something
here's
different because most people aren't going to go through it. Okay, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I've built sumps. I've had tanks drilled. I've used overflow boxes. The significant other wants to kill me because he's constantly worried. I've DIY'd everything, and it's risky. On the SCA tank, I had the same issue as Holly in that the stand that I built DIY wouldn't fit the sump that I wanted to put under there. So I literally had to use a brute, and it leaked, and it was a mess. On my 65-gallon tank, there's the stand that there's no sump happening. It was like I bought it at I think PetSmart, so it was an Aqueon or some not drilled tank. And when I
yeah,
decided I
yeah.
want this to work, the tank literally sits in front of the tank and it's ugly. I want to make something pretty, you know.
So that's where something like this. So the one of the nice parts is like if you go to their website,
Hmm.
they they tell you exactly what it's made of, the drain slots, the 4 sections, and it'll tell you like a drain section, a skimmer section, a feed section, a return section, and a carbon/media section. They'll tell you like your maximum skimmer footprint is 30
Nice.
inches for this is 4.25 by 6 inches. So like they tell you kind of down to like the inch how much room you're going to have for your stuff. And so I think that's closer to what
I want, right?
you're probably looking for.
Yes, and the one you're talking about is the 40.
Yeah, this is the 40, and they're
Okay.
making it out of 3/4 inch thick cell cast acrylic.
Okay.
That's a beefy tank.
All right. I'm gonna check them
that
out as soon as
tank-
we're done here.
Oh,
That-
I turned on their website. They got some cool stuff.
Nice.
They the primary use that I use them for is typically sump, right?
Okay.
Because if you want a custom sump,
They're the place.
I've done 7 or 8 PVC sumps with them. Beautiful, like some of the most beautiful sumps you will ever see.
Well, then come
Yeah.
do mine,
even-
dang it, because I can't do PVC sumps pretty. Mine have like blue stuff smeared across where I messed up the glue. I suck
Well,
at
that's what-
plumbing.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the other thing here is like you may go on this website and you may totally change your mind.
Right.
Look at
'Cause
this
they offer-
neon green one.
Nice.
Oh, the neon. You're talking about the neon green, the black
Got
clear, and
neon green and black trim sump.
Those are expensive.
It is.
well,
Cheryl, wait. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you all, but Cheryl, you wouldn't believe it because you do DIY tanks. That's what I'm saying. Like when I was talking with her Nanos Reef the other day about what I wanted, and she was like, "What's your budget?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. To set up a full system, maybe $1,000." And she started laughing at me, and I said, "What? I usually set them up for way, way less because I do it all myself."
Oh,
But if you buy name brand,
because if you buy a 40 breeder at Petco during dollar days, it's $40.
yeah, exactly.
right?
But you're
But I'm not.
also
I'm not
getting-
knocking the name brands. I do think we're paying for the name, but that's
Oh,
kind of.
yeah.
I'm okay with it. You know.
But you're also paying for a completely different experience.
Right.
thing.
That's what I'm talking about. I want to be able to set up this tank and be like, holy moly, this is so easy. Nothing leaks. I mean, and I'm not against doing another sump tank, but like you said, I want it to be pretty. I want the plumbing to fit perfectly and me not have to glue crap. And guys, nothing wrong with DIY. If you want to set up a DIY Seahorse tank, it's cheap, it's easy, it works. But I just, for this one,
Hey.
want to do pretty.
Kelly, I got a 58-gallon old Oceanic that I took out the overflow box
Mm-hmm.
and put in standpipes and sleeves on the returns,
Mm-hmm.
on the outflows, on the returns,
Mhm.
and turned it into a grow out tank for seahorses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's me.
And
Like a
nothing wrong with
58,
that. That's
is that
genius. Right.
Is that 58? Is that a bullnose tank? Is that
I'm
a
sorry?
round front?
No.
Or is it's a square? It's the old one,
Uh-uh.
isn't that?
You're
I'm
breaking
trying to
up.
remember in my
He said, is it bow front or an old one? Old version.
It's an older Oceanic when they used to number them and be signed by who built them and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Well, again, for the record, anyone who's watching this later on, because I know most people watch it later, different time zones. I love you for watching later. Mwah. But, I'm not digging on Cheryl's method, Dan's method, and what I've done the entire time I've been doing Seahorses. It's extremely
want a
easy.
display tank. You want a beautiful display.
Yeah, but I'm cheap and I don't want to spend too much. So,
You
it's
want a
like
cheap,
somewhere in the
beautiful
middle.
display tank.
And again, that's why I'm interested, in finding one from someone I trust for sale or doing an all-in-one because again, it's not just about what I want and of course it is about what I want, but it's also about people ask all the time about all-in-one tanks. So I'd like to be able to answer them and say, listen, I tried this. it didn't work. I had to move my seahorses to a bigger tank, or it did work and it worked for years. I would like to be able to answer the question. It's about testing, and yeah, it's in my price range, frankly, because I'm somebody like Cheryl and Dan and most people that, either get the tank drilled or put on an overflow box and make it work. And like, if you look at Dan, who's a commercial breeder and amazing, his sumps don't have baffles even. They're, but I would just like to do something name brand for once, I guess.
Get a trigger sump. You want something expensive.
I'm not even gonna look, Cheryl. I want to go to Me Loves
Cheryl?
Reef. I want to go to
Cheryl?
Mark and be like, I want to build a custom sump. I really do. But then that, $1,000 for a sump. Listen, what I'm gonna say is, hats off to every person who has paid that for their sump, because I think you're amazing. I really do. I really do. Maybe someday I'll have that in me. I hope I do, but at this point, I've just set them up so much less that it's hard for me to bridge that gap. Hopefully, I will though. And Dylan said
Cheryl?
all-in-ones are great and easy. Dylan's, would you put seahorses in an all-in-one? Because people ask me that constantly, and that's why I wanted to try it. But Chris, we keep talking over you. What were you gonna say?
Cheryl, I have had the brand new platinum sapphire something
Oh,
triggers.
jeez.
I actually had them. I had I called them and had them build it in reverse, like, because the way the water was coming out of that tank, I needed it drilled the other. I needed it built backwards, and they'll do it if you call them. That's a custom order, and it was
Yeah,
like $1,200.
Makes sense.
But the
Sorry.
difference is,
Which again, guys, I'm not knocking it. If you've got it to spend, and I've got, listen, y'all, I've got twin 14-year-old daughters. They're already asking about their brand spanking new cars that they're going to need in 2 years. Their colleges. My priorities are a little out of
that's why you need
whack.
to get this tank now.
Right.
The tank
You're
now.
right. You're right. You're right. Right. But I also have to consider it's just very hard for me. You know what? You guys, you'll probably see me end up spending ridiculous amounts of money on some huge system because I really want to. It's just hard for me because I have set them up for, and I'm glad. Last thing. I'm glad that as a channel, we have showed you guys how to set up a tank inexpensively, because it doesn't take someone willing to spend $2,000 on a system to keep seahorses. It does not. And if I can prove that with an all-in-one, I'm going to.
Kelly,
Go ahead, Cheryl.
the last tank I got was the DSA with the stand ribless for 175. A friend of mine is the one that owned the tank. He just finally broke down what he replaced it with, which was over $7,000 in equipment.
Oh, God.
He had everything under the sun on this tank. He even had automatic top off running from his garage for the tank.
Man.
He had, oh gosh, you name it, it was on the tank.
I have an automatic water changer that comes from my garage, and an automatic refill for my ATO. So,
Hey, Chris. Wait until I release the video with my interview with Deborah, the sea dragon keeper.
I know.
Oh, no.
I know that. I know.
You're talking about putting up buildings to house equipment.
You know, my dream is to keep Leafy Sea Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and I figured to do it, the system was going to cost me $20,000.
Yes, probably.
Alone.
Yeah, well, I'm just excited for you to see this interview, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, like, I'm excited. I definitely want to see it, but like, just the fail safes that you have to have in place when you're dealing with thousands of dollar fish is a little bit different.
She has a five level UV system.
5-level what?
Like UV system. I'm probably saying it wrong, not level, but she has 5 UV.
Oh,
on there.
Chambers.
Oh yeah,
Yes, chambers.
5-chamber system. Yeah.
Well, you got to have a place for pods. You got to have a place for the algae scrubber. You've got to have a place to put in the probes for the Neptune.
Hey, Maddie. Um, shoes are less of a worry than seahorses on this channel, but thanks for coming. Anyways, go ahead, Cheryl. What were you saying?
I'm laughing because I've got a friend. He actually put in two separate sumps, tied them together. The problem is he broke one of them, and he had chamber for algae scrubber, chamber for macro with pod propagation, a skimmer chamber. I mean, the list went on and on. And he had everything, all his probes for his apex and everything in this tank. And it was only like a 120. It was only like a 120 gallon tank. But the stump was bigger than the tank.
Well, and that's I would love to do that, but how do you do that stand wise? You know what I mean? Like I don't even. I'd have to look at it, but my bottom line
That's
is
called a
I
50.
really want to set up my dreams reef system once we move. I can't do it here. There's no point. We're gonna move within a year. That's why I'm kind of trying to keep it smaller. I don't mind doing a system with a sump because that's what I know, that's what I believe in, that's what I recommend. But I just thought this is a chance to test and try something different and, throw them in, not throw them in, but put them in a different tank if it doesn't work, you know? But Chris,
Yeah.
I'm open to all your suggestions and you need to call me on the side.
Yeah, I will. No, like I think you just want to see if it's possible.
Right. Exactly.
And the biggest thing I will tell you about an all-in-one system is you gotta have your surface area for media, right?
Hmm.
Or you buy a media that has a ton of surface area for its size, right? So, like in typically these all-in-one tanks, I recommend using like the max spec nanospheres or something like that because like a 4-pound piece of that product is equivalent to like 80 pounds of live
Right.
in
And
terms
see,
of surface area.
right. And my biggest fear is that we recommend, and I know from my own experiences that, like usually on a seahorse tank with a sump, I get a skimmer. Oh boy. I get a skimmer. Oh God, I'm sorry, Dan. Whoop, let me let Dan in. Dan, I was ignoring him. Sorry. But yeah, so in every tank, seahorse tank that I've set up and we recommend, I literally get a skimmer that's double the size of the tank. Like for instance, in a 30-gallon tank, I put a 60-gallon rated skimmer, right? And so that's not possible in an all-in-one. And we've all talked about we don't really trust the hang-on backs, but this one fits in. So I just want to see if it works. Does that make sense?
And remember, when you look at different qualities of skimmers, right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking different ratings, and there is no such real thing as a rating is not a real thing, really, right? Like,
right.
How do they get their rating, and why do the ratings vary so much for two skimmers that look exactly the same?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the two max spec skimmers that are out, they look almost exactly the same. One's rated for 600 and the other one's rated for 300. And I'm like, I don't understand how that's possible. They look exactly the same, right?
Right. Well, and with this
So,
skimmer that I
like,
found that fits in
for
an all-in-one, it's needle wheel, which I guess is really important, right?
oh, I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I cut you off. I want to
No,
welcome Dan, but what were you saying, Chris?
no. What I'm saying is
Oh.
like, also remember, if you oversize a skimmer, I say this all the time, and I don't know 100% how well it applies to seahorses, but if you're actually oversizing your skimmer, you're not actually doing it a service, because
Oh.
if it's oversized and you don't have enough material for it to pull out, then it's not going to be able to pull it out. I'd rather have a skimmer that is either perfectly rated for what you're trying to use or a little underrated because then it's going to produce constant. And
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
so like that's the world I come from, and maybe that's more reef sided. But I think when you oversize a skimmer, you're handicapping that skimmer to being able to do its job properly.
Well,
And
one of the
with that, I'm
problems
wait,
with
wait,
the,
wait. With that, I'm going to welcome Dan. So glad you could join us. I know you're super busy, and I'll ask you how you're doing in a minute. But how do you respond to that? Oversized skimmer is bad.
Well, there's a difference between how you rate a skimmer and the production you have. So oversizing a skimmer on a Seahorse tank is going to be a much bigger skimmer. You know, they rate skimmers per gallon tanks when you buy them, but realistically, it's how much stuff is in the tank. And Seahorse tanks have much more organics in them. And as a consequence, you can run a skimmer twice the recommended size of the tank and still constantly pull skimmate out nonstop. So to oversize a skimmer for a Seahorse tank, you got to go 3 or 4 times larger than what the tank is recommended for that size skimmer, if I'm making sense. But you know, in a reef tank, it's an entirely different story. And I won't disagree with the theory, only that the requirement for a Seahorse tank with the amount of organics takes a much larger skimmer to keep up with the organic loading.
So before
And
anyone
that's
responds to that, I wanted to ask really quickly, Dan, because my idea is, and we're going back and forth. I might change my mind, but I really want to try the all-in-one system because so many people ask about it. I found a skimmer that fits. It's been recommended to me as a good working skimmer, and I found a media reactor that fits that can tumble the K1. So would that? My question is, if I set this up if things started to get out of control or I felt they were, would it just mean more work on my part, more water changes, or is it just not a good idea?
I think it takes more water changes to keep up with it, is all.
Okay. Chris, you were going to say something.
yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. Like part of that too is just it can be like we've talked about. Me and you have talked about. Hey, the advantages of possibly on something like this, maybe you introduce an auto water change, right?
Yep.
So like all you got to do is fill the brutes in the garage
Yep.
or whatever. You know what I mean? And a little bit of automation might help as well. So there's ways to get around it. We'll in our session we'll have some more
Exactly. I
advanced.
want I want you to help me build the perfect easy seahorse tank, but make it pretty and name brand without costing me my arm. Okay. Just kidding. Go
Kelly, how many
ahead.
seahorses are you going to put in the tank?
Just two. I know I can get away with it. But I want to show a newcomer whether or not it can be done. That's my goal. I have
Gotcha.
seahorse tanks set up that I can move them to if they aren't thriving in whatever system I do set up. They're just not pretty because I've kind of let them get overrun. So I want to do videos and set this up on video and show whether or not it works, whether or not the smaller skimmer works, that kind of thing. But I'm not opposed to another sumped tank. I just want it to be pretty for once instead of my DIY mess.
Chris, to give you an idea with what she wants to set up to correlate this in terms of organics, think of it as taking 1 cube of myces, put it in a blender and shredding it to nothing and pouring it in the tank and just letting it sit. Um,
Yeah,
that's about the equivalency of the organic loading that'll go into a tank with a pair of seahorses
daily, right?
daily.
That's your daily
Yes.
load.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
no.
it,
So like you just I
go
like
ahead.
I think you can like typically when I look at skimmers, I look at them as like this 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 skimmer might say like I can do up to a 300-gallon tank, but that's if it's lightly stocked and lightly fed. Well, I'm always looking at like heavy
Excessive. Yeah.
because I never operate under the context that my clients would have ever not fed their fish frequently. Like typically when you're not cleaning the mess, you'll create the mess. So I'm always looking at the like, what's the
Worst case scenario.
small heavy? Yes, that's typically like you'll see them that they're like lightly stocked, medium stocked, heavy stocked. That is a heavy stock, like, and that's where you just need to go kind of out outside of typically, you if you are looking at a skimmer that only has one rating, then they're not doing a good job
So,
of letting
and
you
Dan, real
capability.
quick question: if I got, what if I got a bigger all-in-one, so more water volume, and if in this case, just because I'm testing, I was willing to do more water changes, does that make a difference or just not?
Well, it makes some difference, but you still have the same amount of organics going into the tank.
Right.
Um, so the skimmer is whether you have 20 gallons or whether you have 100 gallons, you still got the same amount of stuff in there. Because it's diluted a little bit more, it's going to take a little bit longer for the organics to catch up with the skimmer. It'll take a little bit longer before it starts producing as much, but ultimately, it's you still got the same amount of crap to pull out.
But wouldn't a water change pull it out?
Well, water changes will pull some out, but you don't do water changes daily.
Right.
So when you sit down and
Good.
graph it out,
I'm not
you're
gonna.
As I
right.
say,
But
it will be now.
Wait, no, let Dan finish. Go ahead.
when you graph it out, there's a point of where you eventually catch up with the organics, and then it maintains that certain level. Um, and it's going to vary depending upon the tank and the filtration and all and how often you do this, that, and the other. But eventually, it'll level out, and that'll be your norm. And I've sat down and played with it, and played with different numbers, trying to test different theories, and I always come back to the same answer. And the question is are you pulling enough organics out of the system with what you have running for filtration with water changes. With two seahorses in 30 gallons plus, if you're doing your normal stuff, you got your temperatures right, you should do well anyway. Even if the skimmer doesn't pull 100%, if you're doing the proper water changes, you should be fine.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to hear because I just want to try it. You know what I'm saying? I'm still willing if Chris or Dan convinces me on the side, or anybody convinces me on the side, to set up another sump system. But we know that works. We know that works. You've proven it over and over again. We've told everybody that's the way to go. I just want to see if it could happen if somebody just wants a pair with a minimal, not coral, just maybe macros, gorgonians, snails, whatever, if you can do it. I just want to test it.
It's been 15 years, but I did run an all-in-one tank once as an experiment
Oh,
for seahorses. And
and
well, the problem I had with the tank at that time, and that was before LEDs were so prominent on the market, was the temperature of the tank. It was
mm,
hard to keep the tank
Yeah.
temperature down.
I
so
have a friend that set up a biocube, took the hood off, drilled it or put a sump on it, and still had problems with the temperature on the tank. And she ended up with a lot of problems with organics because she did not have enough room for a decent sized skimmer. And the seahorses made it about 3 months.
okay, so time out because here's my question. Here's the thing is that I've told you guys on this channel we recommend what they're saying. They're right. Some
Hmm.
system, big skimmer, absolutely. But I personally have kept smaller systems with hang on backs, canisters, whatever, and I lasted years with them. So
Hmm.
I'm not second guessing our recommendation because
Well,
it's the right one, but and as far as the heat of the tank, if I keep my home a certain temperature with central air, I just even in like my 20-gallon quarantine tank, the temperature, help me understand. If there's no top, how does that?
Well, it might run a little bit warmer, but if you're keeping the house cool,
Yeah.
um, in my instance, what I had to do was I had a lid on it, and what I ended up
Mm,
doing was putting a block in there so that the hood itself stood about 4 inches above the water in the front,
okay.
Hmm.
and that brought the temperature down about 2 or 3 degrees. And I kept seahorses in there for quite a while, and that tank ran a couple degrees warmer than the other tanks set up the way that I had it. And I have to say, I've had many customers that have used all-in-one tanks. Tip most of the time they go to the bigger ones.
Right.
I can't remember the brands, but they came with a skimmer and a filtration and the whole works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've had people do it successfully.
Okay.
It can be done. Um, I just, as a rule, when people ask me, I like most other people that have been around the seahorse world for a long time, we usually try to shy away from them, but
Sure.
they have improved upon the tanks since I've done it.
Gotcha. Well, no, and we all appreciate your advice, and I stand by the advice that you're giving because you're right. You're absolutely right. So if I do this, hey, anybody in the comments that watches this later, do you want me to try it and see how long Kelly can get by with an all-in-one, or should I just play it safe and do the right thing and do it the right way? You let me know. Comment later. But yeah,
You should
so
do
We're
it.
that's
always, we're
I should
always
do it.
learning, Kelly.
Give it a
Dan,
shot.
Dan,
Kelly.
wait.
I-
Everybody's talking. I just have to say, Dan, you do realize that that means a phone call every other day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead. What were you saying, Cheryl?
We're always learning. We're always trying new things. And there's nothing wrong with it because if we didn't do that, we would never progress within the hobby. So I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm thinking that in order to be successful, you are going to have more work in
Mm,
terms of water changes and things like that.
sure. And I'm someone who's done that work and or will
Yeah.
do that work and can say this is a lot more work. If you want to take it easy, do it this way. But anyways, Holly, what
But
were you gonna? Oh,
and
Yeah, I
you have a
say why
chance.
not? Because like you said, you have other alternatives. If it doesn't work out, it's
right,
not like you're really putting the seahorses in danger to
right.
experiment with them. You can just move them if it doesn't work out.
And Dylan's has said,
The
please,
water
please,
thing.
please do an all-in-one. Sorry, Chris, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, so the another nice thing is when you're in like a smaller size category like that,
Hmm.
um, like, and it's acrylic, it's very easy to install something like a thermoelectric chiller,
Mm,
which just, you just kind of bolt it into the tank. Like you drill one hole like you were putting the sump in, but PVC or acrylic's very easy to drill.
I'm not
Um,
drilling anything, Chris. Dang it,
I'm
I'm not doing it.
I'm just telling you.
Keep
No,
coming
I'm just
back.
telling you. I'm just saying, like, I know we're not even there yet,
Right.
but I'm just saying, like, worst case scenario, if you really had that temperature issue, which you can control, your most tanks run similar to the rooms they're sitting.
Right.
Um, so,
And my
but
family
there,
can freeze. The seahorses will be cool. All right. But anyways, go ahead.
no, but what I'm saying is, you're not outside of the realm of like, you don't have to go to the point of like installing a large chiller
Right.
at 40.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
And actually,
um,
when with the water change schedule, I'm very curious to talk to you on the side because I can't tell you the name right now. I promise I'll do a video on it. But I found an auto water changer for the all-in-ones.
yep, I
So
run one right
if I had
on
it
that tank that
continuously
you look at.
going or something, what the heck, right? I don't. It might be a big fail, y'all, but that's the point. I can tell you it's a big fail if I do it, right? So that's the
Yep.
plan. Dan
I'd
said,
be,
"Do it." I'm doing it. Go ahead, Dan.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if you failed. I mean,
Okay.
there's quite a few people out there that are keeping seahorses in those style tanks.
Right.
Um,
And they have improved. And the real test is time. Like I'm sure I can set it up and it'll work, but I'm the one that's gonna like in 2 years I'll say, okay, it really didn't work long term because the organics built up or whatever. The second I see anything funky with the seahorses, I'm gonna fix it. So
Well, I guess one of the bigger things like to kind of speak of is like you're not you don't have the same privilege of like a reef tank where you can decide I'm going to turn a power head up to maximum flow for, an hour a day
To
so
fix
that
something, right?
I can stir up the nutrients in the tank, right, to get them up in the system. So I think that's another
It's a
like
challenge.
challenge, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm up
like
for
the
it.
tank that I had spoke to you about, the advanced acrylic, that one has two pumps in it, and they're
Mm-hmm.
behind that wall. So like it gives you the opportunity to point it in more dead areas so that you can get a better flow.
That's what I loved about the JBJ. And I know that that's not some, I haven't even heard that name very often. It's not like the big woohoo brands, but it had two. And I was literally thinking, you could point them, oh yeah, yeah, shoo shoo, right?
You can run a wave maker on that tank too.
Right. Of course you could, right. Yeah. And
Where
I've got
where
a,
most where most people fail with these tanks is by overstocking them.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right, of course. And I'm
And
only going
she's
to do two.
already defined those parameters, so that's the best part. Like you've decided, like I'm gonna keep two adult zebras.
Right. If I have more, I've got other tanks. It's cool. Hey Dan, it's getting close to cutoff time. We're way over 2 hours again. I wanted to ask how you're doing. If there's anything you wanted to share, give you a chance.
Still kicking.
Still kicking. All right, we got it. Okay, well now that we've decided, I'm gonna at least try this, guys, and I'll keep giving updates for years to make sure I let you know. Hey, this is a lot more work. But the other thing I keep thinking is, when you tell me you're going to have to do numerous water changes on a 90-gallon tank or a 65-gallon tank, I'm like, ugh, 25-30% of that is ugh, right? But on a 45-gallon tank, that's nothing, right? I mean, I just think it'd be a lot easier to handle. I don't know. I'm gonna do it though. That's what I'm gonna do. And Holly knows her seahorses are safe because I can throw them in the other tanks if I have to, and I'll keep you guys updated. So anything you want to see me do to the tank or put on the tank or test on the tank,
Kelly,
comments. Yes, Cheryl.
set up two.
Okay.
One with a sump and everything. The other one all in one. Compare them in
Not a
public.
bad idea. Not a really
Seriously.
bad idea. But I'd have to
If
I'd have to make them the same water volume.
Yes.
so, so better yet, maybe I don't know if Holly has more seahorses than you. What if I went and bought a 40 breeder and made an all-in-one out of a 40 breeder, glass one at Petco? Like I could do that,
We could
and
do
then
some have it like a little compo.
but yours is like the more professional one, right? Like if you're gonna get something that's more like, and then we could just compare and contrast. You know what I mean?
There
And
you
see.
go. Holly wants to work on shipping, so there you go. Holly, I'm selling you seahorses. But yeah, no, Chris, I'm game, and that's awesome. And yes, and I like Cheryl's idea too. So we'll have to
So
play with it and see. Because I
outside of
have tanks that
equipment,
I could do. What? Go ahead.
It's not
outside
that
of
it can't
equipment,
be done. It's just that nobody that knows what they're doing probably really knows what they're
Right.
doing, has tried it.
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm thinking probably outside of a like pump, I could probably get that whole thing done under $100.
Screw you. And, and I wish I could drill tanks. I wish I could do all that crap and
No,
not
I'm
have
I'm saying I'll make
hoses.
an all-in-one.
I
Okay.
think I'll
I'll make
reserve
an
my
Oh.
comment on that comment.
Well,
Yes.
Chris, I'm going to talk to you on the side, but we will definitely set this up and do some video comparisons for sure. And yeah, just to reiterate, guys, if you want to be safe, and Dan made a good point. The biggest mistake people make is overstocking. So I'm talking about trying to test out an all-in-one with two seahorses and minimal things in the tank and extra filtration. So if I succeed, that doesn't mean it's the best way, because most people, including myself, you buy two seahorses, you fall in love, and then you buy two more, and then you end up with 50 and no room to keep them, okay, because they have babies. And you just want new species, whatever. And so when we say one pair, two seahorses in 30 gallons, yeah, you can make it work, but chances are you're going to want more. So I'm definitely not doing this to like promote it. it's fun. So that's all. All right, guys, it's cusping the time. I'm so sorry that Dan just joined and we didn't get a ton of his excellent advice. But when we have a topic, I'm sure he'll have much more to say. And is there anything else anybody did want to say before I close it out for the night?
I want pictures.
Of course. Okay. Well, Holly, I'll update you soon on whether I find the tank or not. Chris, I'll talk to you on the side. Dan, I'll talk to you in a second. Everybody say bye.
Eyeball.
Bye.
Eyeball. Cheers, everyone. Good night. See you next
night.
Wednesday.
Good night.